Are you wanting to get to Croatia solo in 2022 around the pandemic? Stay tuned because I'm going to tell you how I did it solo in 2021.
Croatia is a great solo travel destination and sure to be very popular in 2022. Hi there, I'm Gwen Corey with CORRtravel, the site to help those over 50 stay adventurous through solo travel. I've been traveling solo for over 26 years and still going, and love every minute of it. And if you're wanting to go to Croatia this year, you're in luck because I was just in Croatia in September of last year. And in this video, I've got 7 must-know pandemic travel planning tips for you. In addition to this video, I'm providing you links to my Croatia travel guide, COVID and eco travel tips, and other links I use to get to Croatia, which I'll cover in this video. If you're new to CORRtravel and want to hear how I traveled solo to other European countries last year during the pandemic, or want access to great travel itinerary or solo travel tips, or more, go ahead and hit the subscribe and the little bell below to get notified when new videos are posted on CORRtravel for your solo travel needs. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my 7 do not miss tips to use for planning your solo trip to Croatia in 2022 during the pandemic. Tip number 1, be fully vaccinated. And if you're not, then you might want to reconsider traveling to Croatia. Despite for the obvious reasons of protecting yourself and others, let's just talk about travel feasibility. When I went to Croatia last year, Croatia was allowing those from the US unvaccinated to enter with a negative COVID test. And at the time of making this video, that still holds true. Currently, Croatia is also making vaccinated persons pass a COVID test before entering, which has changed since I was there in September, but it could be reversed. But it's doubtful they will reverse this requirement for unvaccinated people. Plus, you never know if things could change. There could be a new COVID variant pop up, or your country could land on the high-risk country list, causing Croatia to decide to only let vaccinated people enter, or make those unvaccinated quarantine upon entry, even if they passed a COVID test, like the Netherlands recently did. So being fully vaccinated is not only safer, it does make travel easier and is less expensive. For those vaccinated, you'll need to confirm your vaccination type and dates adhere to Croatia's entry rules. I'll cover how to find this out in tip number 3. Also, make sure you have the correct documentation to prove your vaccination. If you're from the EU, you're all set with your EU digital COVID certificate. But if you're from the US, don't worry. All I used for Croatia was my white hard copy CDC card that showed my name, dates of all vaccinations, and the type of vaccination I received, like Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson. Tip number 2, when to go. Avoid going in the high summer season, basically June through August, if you can. Remember what happened last summer when many countries were on lockdown for so long, and then they lifted travel restrictions right before the summer, and guess what happened? Yeah. Many Croatian cities were so inundated with tourists it caused hotels to sell out. I was told that people were actually sleeping in their cars. No joke. Keep in mind, it's just not people from your country wanting to get out and travel again. People from practically all countries are wanting to get out and travel again, and everyone's dealing with their own set of travel restrictions dictating where they can and can't go. Plus, top locations will just be crowded in general in the summertime, and of course prices are always higher in the summer anyway. Tip number 3, know Croatia's COVID entry rules. As the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. This is very true when it comes to navigating the COVID travel rules. Researching country COVID restrictions and rules initially consumed half of my planning time for the 7 countries I visited last year. Once I figured out, though, where to find the information, that time scaled back considerably. And my 2021 research is going to help you save time this year. I ultimately narrowed my focus down to 4 websites: United Airlines and Ryanair's travel restriction pages, the U.S. Embassy in Croatia site, because I'm from the U.S., and the Schengen news site. All of these links I'm providing for you below. Why these 4 sites? Well, I had already found the necessary COVID travel information through Croatia's websites before the airlines started posting their own travel restriction pages. So when I saw the same information popping up on the airline sites, I knew they were good to use going forward, including for accessing any testing and/or quarantining information, and getting access to the Enter Croatia form that's needed to be completed prior to entering Croatia. And the United Airlines map is even more robust now than it was last year when I was using it for planning. So bonus for you. Although I normally consult my country's embassy websites for pertinent safety information first as a female solo traveler, as time passed, however, I was finding that the Schengen news was providing more up-to-date information on travel restrictions and COVID updates, like COVID infection rates within Europe, which was conflicting with what the US was reporting. So for planning purposes and while traveling, I continually checked the Schengen news site first and used the US Embassy site only to back up what was being posted on the airline websites. Now, I'm not saying to ignore your country's embassy information. However, if I had only used the US's information and not the Schengen news, I would have ended up staying home in 2021 and missed out on a great solo trip around Europe, which included Croatia. This brings me to tip number 4, and the saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Book your airline tickets well in advance. I can't stress this enough. So if you haven't booked already, book now. Why? Well, let's talk about choices. Airlines have drastically reduced the number of operating flights already, so this gives you less dates and times to choose from than normal. Many flights last year of mine got changed or canceled, and it was annoying, but keep in mind airlines are doing what they have to do to stay in business during COVID, and you need to be able to roll with the punches. So the message here is be flexible. Add in additional layover time, and don't book any job commitments or other travel arrangements close to your flight arrival or departure dates. The more buffer you give yourself, the less stress you will have. Trust me. Use your airline miles when booking. Due to new strains of COVID causing constant changes in Europe's rules last year, I had to change my outbound flight to Europe 3 times. By using my airline miles, my mileage account was immediately refilled when I had to cancel a ticket, and then I can turn around and buy a new one right then. If you don't have airline miles, check first to see whether you'll get a refund or travel voucher from the airlines should you need to change or cancel your flight. By now you're probably wondering, Gwen, if I'm looking at possible changes or cancellations, why should I book now? Prices. With the recent airline cancellations, it's a good bet that airline flights to and from Croatia are going to be at their least expensive the earlier you book in 2022. Prices will automatically go up as the weeks tick by. And as more and more travel restrictions lift, so will ticket prices. With fewer flights already, they're more apt to sell out. Don't assume that with less restrictions means more flight availability. Remember how some companies have been having staffing shortages? Never forget that these are not normal times, so until COVID is no longer a consideration, prepare for the worst. If you've already booked and there is a change, your airline will at least put you on a different flight so you will have a seat. Remember, you've built in flexibility in your schedule to allow for this, so you should have no worries. And a little eco-travel tip for you. If you need to travel between cities in Croatia, or travel with only short durations, say 2 to 3 hours, book a train, bus, or ferry instead of flying. Not only could it save you time, say from like airport security, or save money on checked baggage fees, There are also a lot prettier forms of travel. Plus, many EU countries are trying to reduce or even ban short-distance flights within Europe to fight climate change, so this is a good habit to get into. What goes for tip 4 goes for tip 5. Like airline availability, hotels, hostels, and the like may also fill up quickly again, especially if you go in the summer season. And this will drive up prices. Reserve now and make sure you reserve with a 100% free cancellation option as close to your check-in date as possible. Yes, this could slightly increase your solo travel costs, but it is worth the peace of mind in case you need to cancel. Like I did with my Netherlands trip. Just 4 days before my departure, the Netherlands decided to make vaccinated Americans quarantine for a minimum of 5 days, which wiped out my 5-day Netherlands itinerary. Yeah, it was a complete bummer, but being able to cancel just in time with no fee saved me hundreds of dollars. Also, don't be afraid to communicate with your hotel or hostel beforehand. I emailed mine often to check up on any local COVID restriction updates or dining and activity tips they may have had. They were all very helpful. Your hotel in Croatia is going to want to make sure you have the best travel experience there, so let them help you. Tip number 6, know the local COVID rules. It is possible cities or establishments in Croatia may have additional or specific COVID restrictions to adhere to. There may be, say, a specific type of mask requirement, or there may be limited operation times or curfews for local establishments. Same goes for your destination and connecting airports and airlines. For example, Croatia Airlines required N95 type masks. Same for the Vienna airport when I had to fly through there on a layover from my flight out of Croatia. So just make sure you check and pack accordingly. Use the airline links I provide below or your booked airlines websites so you can do a little bit further research as to the do's and don'ts of traveling within Croatia. And again, contact your hotel for tips or check out a city's official tourism website. They're great ways to get local information and also knowing, say, if a local attraction is closed due to COVID. And don't forget to be kind to the locals and those working the transportation systems. Remember, it's not their fault if something gets canceled or closed or delayed due to COVID. They're just dealing with the same obstacles like everyone else. This brings me to my last big tip to cover, which is travel and health insurance and COVID testing. Do you really need to buy travel and health insurance for your trip just because of COVID? Well, first check to see if health insurance is a requirement for entering Croatia, which at the time of this video, it is not. And this hasn't changed since last year. Traveling with medical and travel insurance is advised in order to get cover for any emergencies on your solo travel. In fact, I did get such insurance for my entire trip to Europe last year. And I never used it, and I didn't contract COVID. Still, it was a nice backup to have, but I'll leave it to you and your discretion on whether to purchase it or not. I've provided you a link below to the service that I used. As for COVID test, first check the airline websites to see what type of COVID test is required to enter Croatia and for returning to your own country before booking, and then check the testing prices. Don't worry if you can't get your hands on an authorized home COVID testing kit to take with you, because you may not need it. Email your hotel or hostel in advance to see if they can arrange testing for you, or where they can tell you the nearest testing facility is and the cost. For example, my hotel in Madrid was able to arrange my COVID testing for me at my hotel so I could enter Portugal, and for the same cost as a home testing kit. You may be able to get something similar in Croatia. Well, that's it. Those are my top 7 must-know tips on how to do pandemic travel planning for Croatia. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out all the helpful links I provided below for further insights to get the most out of your upcoming solo trip to Croatia. And if you like this video and want more, stick around with CORR Travel and hit that subscribe button and the little bell to get updates on the new videos coming out on CORR Travel. And feel free to share. I hope you have as much fun in Croatia this year as I did last year. Pozdrav!